everyone, and welcome to another series of top eight interviews for the Dominion Online Championship. We are in the new year 2025, and we have a couple of new top eight players, among which the person who's joining me right now. I'm welcoming Minionpawn. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you. We're just gonna dive right in. How did you come up with your username?
Well, I suppose it might not take rocket science to determine this, but I put together two of my favorite cards at the time. I was a big fan of the Intrigue expansion when I made my account about 5 years ago, and I liked Minion and Pawn. I don't know why I put Minion first. I think I just liked the ring, even though maybe that's not aligned with the combo when you're actually playing the cards, but I like both of those cards. I liked combining them whenever possible. I was a big Intrigue guy, so that's how I ended up with this username.
But then why a Swindler, your avatar?
I don't really know. I went through a few different ones in the early stages, and I just liked the Swindler guy. Like, no one else wanted it. I thought he looked pretty cool, so I decided to go for it. And once again, keeping up with that Intrigue theme, I guess.
Perfect. How often do people assume that you and Lemon Spawn are somehow connected?
That has happened a few times, not recently, maybe a few years ago that came up, but I think those rumors are mostly dispelled now. I don't really hear anything about it, but it was kind of a joke for a while. I didn't really know that he existed when I made my account, so
yeah,
I didn't even think there would be a conflict, but it's kind of funny.
It is, and that's totally fair. All right, so can you talk a little bit about the origins, I guess, of your Dominion career? When and how did you start playing Dominion, and what has your career been like?
So I actually started with the physical game in 2017, I think it was. My family got it for a gift, and so I started playing it with them, and we all really liked it, got a few more expansions, and I played it with friends and family then for a few years, and I eventually started accumulating expansions of my own, so I have Base, Intrigue, Prosperity, Seaside, Empires, Renaissance, Adventures, and Menagerie. So I don't have all of them, but I do have a good amount of the physical cards, and I love to break them out with whoever I can. So I did get my origins with the physical game, and at some point I discovered Dominion Online. I don't remember how, but I think it was so my dad and I could play. Like, he might have told me about it, but we got on the site, started playing each other, and what got me into Dominion, the competitive Dominion, was looking at the cards. I just looked through the card lists, because at that point we'd only played with the first 4 expansions or so, and I was just amazed. I kept looking through, and I was like, wait, there's an action card that costs 8? I saw Prince, and I was like, what? So I was just blown away. And I remember seeing Dark Ages and thinking, this is just insane. There is so much trashing going on here. But after that, I remember looking at the leaderboard and thinking, man, these are probably all Dominion legends who played and got a really high rating and then retired. Like, I didn't really know how the rating system worked. So then I just sent some friend requests to them just because I knew you could spectate games. And right after I did that, there was actually a match. I think it was a tournament match going on right then. So I was blown away. I'm like, what? They're playing? And then I joined, and there were a bunch of spectators. I remember it being like a Silk Merchant game with a lot of coffers and villagers, and I was not exposed to that at that point. So I talked to the spectators. They got me involved in the Discord, and from there I kind of took off and started playing competitively after watching a lot of high-level matches and getting a feel for how the cards worked.
That's such a fun, like, to me, a very unusual story of getting involved in League. That's so cool. Yeah, the spectating feature is just so good. The client.
Oh, yeah.
Fun. You are one of our higher ranking players. I looked a little bit at your league history. So you're usually in C and B tiers and have also been to A before, but you've also taken a couple of breaks in the past years.
Yeah, I suppose when I started getting involved in competitive Dominion, it didn't start right with League. I think the first tournament I did was the Possession Cage tournament. This was
Oh my
back in
God.
2020.
Wild.
Okay,
What a
I'm gonna get
start.
involved. Yeah, it was something, but I had a blast. I was thinking, okay, if I don't have to worry about possession in any other games, I'll just enjoy playing with it here, and that was a blast. I think I did make it to the elimination round, so I thought, oh, maybe I can actually compete here. And I don't remember what my next tournament was after that, but I have very distinct memories of the Possession Cage. So that was pretty funny. And yeah, eventually I got involved in League. I did start out in E tier, and I immediately demoted to F, and I was thinking, oh boy, this is tough. But after that, I kind of got a feel for it, and like you said, I made it to C, and I was in B for quite a few seasons. Then I stepped away, came back, stepped away again, and now I'm back. So I did take a break largely from competitive Dominion in 2024, but I decided to participate in the tournament this year. So kind of ramped up a little bit, played some ladder games to get my rating to at least a respectable position, and here I am.
Yeah, here you are. We're going to come back to this year's tournament in a second, but first I want to know what your favorite and least favorite cards are. So, Trail, and then the least favorite card.
That is really tough. I think I had a clear ranking like a few years ago. I remember really liking Overlord. Now it's a little different how it functions. Like before, it would have been Overlord and Vampire. I really didn't like Vampire. I still don't really like Vampire that much, but now my favorite, it's probably not a very common answer, but I really like the card Pirate. I remember liking Explorer quite a bit, even though it was kind of a weak card. But I really like the cards that aren't super centralizing to the game, yet you can use them pretty creatively. So ever since Pirate came out, I kind of fell in love with it and have been trying to incorporate it when I can. Sometimes I don't go for it because it's not the thing to do, but I really enjoy that card and the interactions it has. My least favorite would have to be the card Berserker. I I had a few straight games where the opponent hit 5 first and discard attacked me, and it snowballed from there. And I'm thinking, I do not enjoy this. I like being able to compete, so I put that on my at least dislike list. It did come up in my match against Taka, so maybe I should put it on the full ban list. But I am not a huge fan of the card Berserker.
And what is your favorite expansion?
Empires. I loved Overlord. I love the debt mechanic, Overlord City Quarter, and I really like what Empires did with some of the VP tokens and all of those mechanics. I really like debt and how that all works, so I'm a huge fan of Empires. Menagerie would probably be a close second.
Oh, that's very straightforward. Okay, so let's return to the championship. Let's talk about round 4 first. So first of all, in round 4, you won your match against Kazumari 0828 and then round 5 against Haka 3, both of which also very high-profile players. So I feel like you're really in good shape, I would say. Congrats on that. Do you have thoughts, anything stand out in your round 4 match against Kazumari?
Well, that was very exciting. I remember the first game was like a Spices Broker Port Royal Blacksmith thing, or Blacksmith was the draw, and there was Island Folk, so it was kind of a race to who could get going with 2 straight turns. And I remember having a pretty bad shuffle towards the end of that game, and Kazu got a decent points lead, but I was able to draw everything the next turn and take a points lead on my Island Folk turn and pile out. So I was really happy to get that game one after how rough that first one turned out. And I don't really remember much about games 2 through 4, besides the fact that we split them evenly, so we were at 2-2 at that point. And I do remember game 5. I was pretty frustrated after that one. I did a super weird opening. Like I opened Idle or something like that, and Idle was not the thing to do. So I was just, I don't know, I was tired that morning. I hadn't gotten much sleep, and I'm like, oh no. So Kazu ended up having a better build and doing a cool Rice Broker Ronin thing, and got the Joust stuff going. Took both of the buy loots, and I was, or the prizes rather, and I felt done after that one. Or not done in the match, but done in that particular game.
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy, I need to regroup.
Yeah.
So game 6 was my favorite game of the tournament so far. I remember it was a page board where I didn't open page because there was really strong elements of deck building around it. So Kazu opened with the page, went for more of a traditional opening, but I went for see or draw. That one was really fun because I opened mine. Or I didn't open mine, but mine was my first 5. And whenever I can make mine work, I'm really happy. Because mine, again, is another card that I really like just because of how you can use it in certain scenarios. But I opened with mine, converted my coppers into silver, which then turned into draw with Seer, and I was able to build a really huge engine with that and Citadel. So Kazu ended up just trying to beat me on single provinces, and I was to the point where there were 4 provinces left, and on my penultimate turn I hit 31 with 4 buys. I'm like, oh no.
Wow.
But I didn't dud and managed to draw back around again and take that one. So that was huge. That was a really decisive moment in that match. And then in game 7, I was player 2 immediately. I thought, oh boy. And Kazu got the perfect turn 3. And I was thinking it was not looking great for me at this point. But then we went for differing routes. He went for Remodel. I went for Magpie. And I ended up getting out to a pretty big lead. But I kind of botched the end game a bit. Didn't set up my next turn. So I had a big dud. And Kazu had a huge turn. And was just like 2 VP away from winning that one. So I was pretty nervous during his turn after I dudded, but I managed to hold on and was pretty happy about that. So it was a roller coaster ride, but pulled it out.
Nice. Coming through on the style points, it sounds like, with mine. And okay, and round 5, you won against Haka. What are your thoughts on that match? Had you played Haka before?
Yes, I have played Haka a few times. The last time I remember playing Haka was the one season I was in A-League. That was kind of a decisive season, apparently, because I played both Haka and Kazu in that season.
Oh!
And that year, I believe Haka won championship, but I did win the match 4-2 against Haka. And I think that was my only one match in that season. I think I tied everything else, maybe had a 2-4 in there. And that season I played Kazu for demotion. We were both tied at 15-15. Like there were so many ties at 15-15 that a 500 player had to demote. So we ended up playing a best of 3 match, and Kazu got the better of me 2-1. So since then I haven't been back in A-League. So a little bit bitter about that, but I got my revenge in round 4. But so I did play Haka then. I had in previous tournaments because Haka was pretty involved in some of those tournaments that I had played beforehand. So I had a decent feel for Haka's game. So I felt confident. I knew I had the capacity to beat Haka given that previous league season. So that one got off to a pretty good start for me. Haka was player 1 first, and we ended up splitting the first 4 games 2-2. And game 5 was a grotto game where we had so many cards, so each of us had like 4 grottos playing 2 each turn. So that was an interesting one. And I was second player in that game. I think I just got the grotto stuff working very consistently and was able to take more groundskeepers and run away with that one. So I was pretty happy to steal that one as second player and get that 3-2 lead. But he came back roaring in the game 6. It was a Merchant Guild Hunting Lodge game with no trashing, so it was pretty awkward. But he got that working. So game 7, I just felt good about the whole way through. Once again, I was player 2, so immediately I was a little bit nervous, but we went for slightly different things. My deck ended up coming together a little bit sooner. I got a big points lead and was able to pile out for the win. So I felt pretty good about that match overall. Haka played well and took me to game 7 once again, but I really felt good about that game 7.
Yeah, and now you're up against arguably like the strongest game 7 player of last year's tournament, at least. You're up against the reigning champion Show. How are you gonna prepare for that quarterfinal?
Yeah, that's kind of a funny tidbit because I looked back on Show's previous tournament and I saw 4-3, 4-3, 4-3 all the way to the quarterfinals. And then I think after that, he won everything before game 7. So I'm thinking, oh boy, I have 3 game 7s so far under my belt against Show, who this tournament doesn't have any game 7s. I think, hey, maybe I can flip the script on Show like from last year. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. Show's really strong. So preparation, I'm just doing what I've been doing, watching some high-level matches, playing some rated games when I can to just stay sharp. And I looked at some of Show's matches from the previous tournament and this one and just kind of trying to get a feel for the player. But he seems quite strong, so I'm really looking forward to matching wits against him tomorrow night or Wednesday night.
Yeah. Is it like I'm just curious, right? You're now up in the quarterfinals. You're up against the reigning champion. If you win, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you, is that gonna be like, oh, okay, now I like you still potentially have 2 more rounds to play, but kind of like, is it like, okay, now like this is the biggest competitor out of the way, or just is it like the same level? Just everyone in top 8 is like basically the same like threat level, if you will.
Well, everyone who can make it to top 8 is definitely a threat. So I've been out of the loop a bit for the past year or so, taking a step away for most of 2024. So I guess I'm not very well acquainted with the current skill levels of some of these players. I recognize the names, most of the names at least. I believe King Skort is someone new that has been taking the tournament by storm, so that's pretty exciting. But I am somewhat familiar with everybody else. But yeah, this is definitely one of the toughest competitors that I can see. I mean, he did win the whole thing last year, and then you've also got VR Smith remaining, who won 2 straight, I believe, a few years ago. Yep. So those 2 are huge threats. And everyone else has been just playing really solid Dominion from what I can see. The other Japanese player, the number 6 seed, he came off a sweep of Mahorath, so also looking pretty strong. A potential opponent I might have to face if I can pull it out against Show. So yeah, I'm not really sure. Everyone's looking pretty strong, but there are a few returning champions, so those are ones to watch out for sure.
So, yeah, if you don't win, do you have like, you'd say like either maybe one of the other champs, or it's just really hard to tell who will take it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty difficult. I think VR Smith definitely has a really good chance. So if I were to pick one, it might be VR Smith.
Okay. So now just a couple of more or less random questions that don't have as much to do with the tournament. But I'm always curious what people's backgrounds are on Dominion Duck games. What's your background?
I don't remember which number it is. It's the tiles, the black
Oh yeah, 10.
tiles.
I think that's mine as well.
I believe it's 10. I had Anvil for a while, and I ended up just getting a little bit distracted by the background, so I prefer to just have nothing going on back there. So
Same.
I switched back to that, kind of like mid-tournament. But it's been working out.
Oh, mid-tournament. Oh, okay, so as recently. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that count for sure. What is your favorite food?
I really enjoy homemade pizza. My mom has always been able to work wonders with the pizza, so I have to give that one to her. I love the homemade pizza.
Nice. So what do you put on there? Like, what are your toppings for the homemade pizza? Is it just like regular toppings, or do you have like anything special?
Nothing too particular. I really love olives. I go with there's a really good pizza sauce that we use in addition to olives and some beef. And sometimes pineapple. I like pineapple on cold pizza, so I'll throw that out there. I usually go half and half on the pineapple. So I'm right in the middle of that whole debate, but those are my typical toppings. I keep it simple, but I'm just fine with it.
Nice. And besides Dominion, what are some of your other hobbies?
Well, Dominion is one of the strategy games that I really enjoy. I'm kind of a board game nut. I love all kinds of strategy board game. Dominion is my favorite, and I don't think that will ever change, but I enjoy quite a few others. There's a really old Dune board game. I think it's from 1979. It's just
wow.
It's full on treachery, and it can accommodate up to 6 players. You never know if it's going to take an hour or 5 hours. So
Amazing.
I really like playing that with some of my friends. The Terraforming Mars is another one up there. I like Catan quite a bit, and there's plenty of other ones that I like to play. So I'm always playing board games of one variety or another. And I am a big disc golfer as well. I like to throw some discs whenever I get the opportunity. I have a few courses that I frequently play at in my home city, and whenever I travel, I like to test the waters for new disc golf courses and new challenges. So I'm a big disc golfer as well, and I also am quite a bookworm. I like to read whatever I can get my hands on, as long as it's good. I've been branching out into a lot of genres recently. I was a big fantasy reader, and now I've branched out into biographies and other nonfiction as well. So those would be some of my other most prominent hobbies.
What are you reading right now? What's your current read?
Well, I actually am a little bit in between books right now. I just finished a book called Mythmakers. It was quite interesting, following C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien and their relationship, and how that gave rise to a lot of their works, and how the story of their lives conflicted with some of the books they wrote. So that was quite interesting, as I'd heard of their friendship, but this book put that into greater perspective and showed how that influenced their works, which then in turn influenced like thousands, millions of other people. So that was a really creative book. It also had kind of some comic book format to it. Like, it was comic style and then more traditional page style. So it was just very creative, and I quite enjoyed it.
Nice. Do you know about the Discord book club?
I have seen it, yes.
Okay. Just putting it out there. we love our reading players. So I'm also like reading a lot. So obviously I have to ask follow-up questions on this. All right. That concludes our interview. Thank you so much, and best of luck for your match, which is happening very, very soon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
And have a good one. Bye.
Bye.